Some days you wake up, the birds are singing, life is great, and everything works. Then there's some days you wake up, you get ready for the chat, you check the mic, you literally test it right before you went live, and it's working fine. And yet, when you get live, the mic doesn't work, there's no audio, and you do this whole impassioned thing about how the Packers are trending in the right direction, and they're going to go. And they're going to win on Thursday night against the number one team in the league, the Detroit Lions. It's going to be awesome. And you put your heart and soul into it. And then you do the ad read even because, you got to pay some bills. And then you get done and you switch over and you look at the comment section. And there's a ton of people telling you they can't hear you. There's no audio. That's how Monday's going today, baby. That's what we like to do around here. Come on, let's keep it fun. Why not, right? Thank you for your patience, everybody. Happy Monday. Here we are, the Packers' second day of practice. Just heard from LaFleur and the coordinators. I didn't catch a lot of the coordinator stuff because I was recording and doing radio, but I'll go back and listen to a lot of it. But LaFleur sounds like, they're dialed in for Thursday night. No question about it. And I did want to talk about how, coming into this game, they are better situated than they were last time around because obviously Josh Myers missed the game. This time their offensive line is going to be all together. And then Elton Jenkins misses practice today with a knee injury. So we'll see how that transpires throughout the week. If he's ready to go on Thursday night, you never like to see that, but it's something to monitor. No question about it. Other injuries of note, or injury developments, as it were. Jair Alexander and Romeo Doubs both practiced today. That's encouraging. With Romeo still in the concussion protocol, but you never, can count that as 100%. He's going to play until he's out of that protocol, so we'll see. And with Jair, at this point, the way the Packers have played on defense, their approach on defense, he'll be a happy addition if he goes. I'm not going to get my hopes up that he's going to play. I'm going to be pleasantly surprised if he does. But, hey, trending in the right direction. You obviously want him out there with Amon-Ra, St. Brown and company looming on Thursday night. But this is a game where the Packers got to get on the front foot, got to take control of the game, much like they have these past 2 weeks, or 2 games, I should say. Last time around, we're not able to do so. Now, there were a lot of mitigating circumstances there with the weather. Jordan Love still being somewhat hobbled in that game. I don't think that's telling tales out of school. And, this is a game where the Packers, much like they did against the Chiefs last year on that Sunday night affair, have to come in and take control of the game with the ground game with Josh Jacobs. It was A.J. Dillon then, should be Josh Jacobs on Thursday night. Keep that Lions offense on the sideline. This is what I expect to happen. Again, we have to see how Elton progresses throughout the week. But this is the game the Packers should be able to kind of plant their flag, to use the parlance of college football's weekend, and say, hey, guess what? We're not done yet. This is a team that is trending the right way, much like it did last year. Youngest team in the league, starting to develop, starting to figure it out, starting to put all the pieces in place. Injuries are always an issue. That's football. But I love the way the Packers have looked the last kind of 3 games coming out of the bye week. Certainly have found a way of working, have found an identity. And I am very, very anxious to watch them go up against the Lions in a season where we've heard a lot about, or I'm sure fans have heard a lot about and talked a lot about, they don't have a signature win this season. They don't have a win that you can point to and say that was not just domination, but a very significant win. You look at the win against the Texans and the way they have kind of floundered throughout their season, doesn't feel as good as it did that week, right? There's no doubt you wanted to feel really good about that 49ers win. They're so banged up, and it's cathartic just because that organization has really put the screws to the Packers the course of the last 5-6 years, but still probably not a victory you point to and go, yes, we are a contender. We're a team that can be has to be reckoned with in the playoffs. Miami, that's now 5-7 football team that have been playing better for the last month. Still not a winning football team. The Packers have had chances against the Vikings and Lions and come out pretty damn flat both times. This is a game on Thursday night where they can announce their arrival, so to speak, in the contention for the Super Bowl. And yeah, I'm talking Super Bowl. They're still getting better. They're still improving. And they keep improving throughout December into January. Sky's the limit for this team. They have to make that statement on Thursday night, and I think they will. Hello, everybody in the comment section. So good to see you. I'm sorry that I missed so many of you in the first chat. Real quick shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. Now that you can actually hear me, Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Go to prizepicks.com and use code CHTV. Spend $5 on lineups and get $50 instantly. Prize Picks is available in 43 different states, most importantly in Wisconsin. Here are my picks for Monday Night Football. I think it's going to be a defensive affair. Don't think the quarterbacks are going to do a whole hell of a lot throughout the evening. What's going on, folks? Thanks for sticking with me. Got a bunch of you up in here. Keith, thanks to the super chat, man. It seems like running game has returned to the NFL and the Packers, seeing lots of 12 personnel out there. I know things are cyclical, but what gives? Oh, it's a big component right now. I think this is just a natural progression. We talked about this a lot over the course of the last 2 seasons, really. I talked a lot about it when Aaron Rodgers was still in town because it seemed very obvious that with a league that is, given the offense every advantage in the passing game over the course of the last 10 years plus, defenses and defensive roster construction and schematically have very much adapted to. You saw last year was really the start of scoring being down in the NFL. Lack of explosive plays was all over the league. And now I think this is the first season where you've seen the beginning of a correction on offense where teams like the Packers, the Eagles, the Ravens, really successful teams, offenses, etc., have realized, look, we can still spread it out at times. We can still throw it around the yard because the offensive, the rules of the NFL allow us to do that in certain situations. But the way you can generate way kind of more explosive plays is sticking with that run game and forcing teams to adjust to it, and then taking advantage of one-on-one opportunities when you get the chance. You saw that in the Miami game where Watson got a one-on-one up that right sideline. Love hits him for a big gain. That's a direct response to the Packers being effective in the ground game. And that wasn't even their most effective game on the ground against Miami. Miami actually did a pretty damn good job bottling Jacobs up, but still the threat of it, the constant nature of it, because that was what Matt did very well in that game, was sticking with the run. You have to adjust as a defense. You have got to limit it because you're completely, maybe not taking their soul or anything like that. I know that's kind of like you can pound them into submission, what have you. But when you're continuously popping off 3, 4, 5 yards of carry again and again and again, they got to adjust. They have to. They can't allow you to just march right down the field. And when you get those opportunities in the passing game, you take advantage of them. But I don't think there's, a huge mystery here. There's the beginning this year of a correction when it comes to the running game and offensive play callers leaning into it in a way that they probably should have been 2 or 3 years ago. Danny, what's going on, man? Nags locked in for 7.5 minutes. Oh, take note for Thursday. I appreciate you, Danny. Matthew Clark, what's going on, man? You looked amazing doing it, Nags. Well, it was nothing but passion, Matthew. Passion into an empty microphone. Dylan, thank you for the super chat. Same thing on Andy's stream today. You caught it from him. All this confirms what we always suspected: the Bears still suck. Oh, so it happened to Andy too. Maybe it's a StreamYard thing. Because I am not joking. I specifically looked to make sure I had level on the mic before I went live. And I did. And then I was live. Nothing. Good times. Janice, thank you for the super chat. Hi, Nag. So cool to meet you and everyone last week at the meetup. Have you noticed that the Lions score under 26 points 7 times, 31 points one time, and 3 over 47? I believe we can score 28 and put pressure on them. Janice, they certainly love to try and run up the score. You'll notice they tried against the Packers a month ago or so, and the Packers made them pay. Enigbari, the big play when they were trying the end around, and then Nixon got the pressure on Goff, etc. They do love to put the pedal to the metal. There's no doubt about it. And they do put up points when given the opportunity, which is why I say the MO for the Packers on Thursday night is to control the football, keep them on the sideline. That is your best defense against that offense. Ed, what's going on, man? Original chat, Bears, Lions, and KC Raiders made it really hard to argue with people who are convinced the games are fixed. They're not fixed. Ed, I know way too many people involved in way too many levels of football for you to ever convince me that the games are fixed. Never subscribe, or what is the old saying? Never subscribe to conspiracy what you can put to incompetence or something along those lines. When you got Matt Eberflus involved, anything is possible. Jeezy baby, what's going on, man? I was able to read every word, and it was electric speech on the first take. Lloyd close to being back? No idea on Lloyd. We'll see. Appendicitis usually takes about a month. That's what it took Dave a couple years ago to come back. So I would suspect probably 2 more weeks at least. Abdul, how are you, man? Hey, Aaron, when Lloyd comes back, do you see him overtaking Brooks and Wilson? Fascinating to find out, Abdul. I suspect he'll probably eat into Brooks' time more than anything. I think they really like Wilson in the 2-minute drill. They really like what he gives them when they go up tempo, when they have to go no huddle and things like that. You've seen how effective he is in the passing game, especially in the screen game. I don't think they want to take that away. So that's why I say most likely it'll eat into Brooks' time. But it's not like it's just going to happen, right? Like, kid has got to prove that he's up to it, knows the assignments, can hang on to the ball. I know we're all thinking it. That was the knock on him coming out, right? Fumbles. And he immediately put the ball on the ground the first time he touched it in NFL practice. So, yeah, that's what he's got to show, is that he's assignment sure, ready to step in, especially in pass protection. I suspect they'll get him a handful of carries whenever he's available, but I don't think it's going to be immediate. I don't think we're going to suddenly see no Brooks, which is why it's going to be kind of fascinating to see what they do with the game day lineup. You have 4 backs active. I hope somebody's contributing on special teams. Aaron Rodgers, honored to have you here, buddy. Nagler bummed we couldn't meet up in Lambeau. First time ever and had a blast. Overwhelmed with emotions as we boat race San Francisco. Can't wait till I go back. Dude, I'm glad you were there for that game. What a time to be there against a hated rival and to watch them just basically kick their ass from the opening kickoff. That's a great, great day at Lambeau Field. I'm so glad you were there, man. Abdul, thanks again, man. Sounds like Jets players are sick of 12. Do you think Packers locker room was sick of him / glad to see him go? Was Jennings and Finley right after all? It's never that simple, man. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I don't think it was, everyone was sick of him or anything along those lines. But I do think, much like when Aaron took over for Brett, there's certainly a divide. There's young players who have only been in the league 1 or 2 years who are ready to go to work with Jordan, right? Who, no knock on Aaron, but they want to start the next kind of chapter with their guy, and that's just human nature. I don't think it's anything. I don't think I read anything into, where they're talking about, these Jets players that you're talking about. That's a totally different situation where he's like a Ronin, right? And brought in specifically to help them win. And now they're not winning. Well, of course. Yeah. Especially late in the season when you keep dropping games, especially this one against Seattle, they had total control of, and then you lose. Fingers get pointed, and that's just a losing culture, right? Whereas in Green Bay, Rodgers was an institution. And I think guys were understandably, kind of quiet about, okay, we're going to let Aaron have his time. And when he's ready, we will move on. But I don't think it was anything close to what's going on in New York. This is an entirely different situation. Now, I think you could also read in a little bit of, like I was talking about earlier, some of these young guys ready to roll with Jordan Love. Never forget when Aaron got traded and Jordan took over. There's that great Romeo Dobbs quote in the first training camp with Jordan as a starter, where he said, I don't see Jordan, there's nothing that Aaron was doing last year that Jordan can't do. And that caused waves online and everyone freaked out. But, he wasn't wrong as far as where they are physically, respective careers, etc. Jordan, especially the back half of last season, showed what he's got, showed that he's ready to take over as a starter. And I don't think that was necessarily Romeo pointing fingers or casting Rodgers aside or saying he's a bad teammate or anything like that. But I do think that's Romeo saying it's our guy's time. It's this young guy's time. We're ready for the next kind of starter in Green Bay. It's a long-winded way of saying I don't think the situations are truly comparable. I don't know that I would say that, Greg Jennings and Jermichael Finley, quote, were right. I think it was right for them and their relationship with Aaron. But you could walk up and down throughout the NFL with guys who played with Aaron Rodgers who absolutely adored him as a teammate, who would go into any battle with him, who said he was an absolute fantastic teammate and a leader of men. It's a little bit different for everybody. Everybody has a different relationship with their coworkers, but with their quarterback. So I just don't think it's quite as cut and dry as maybe it is in New York. Right. What's going on, man? Great silent count, Nags. I see what you did there. Right, just keeping you on your toes, man. Just keeping you on your toes. Porkmaster, the super chat. We're gonna win on Thursday. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Porkmaster is on the record. Love to see it, Porkmaster. Abdul, what's going on, man? Is 23 on the roster next year? Yes. Keep that easy for you. Joe, what's going on, man? Has Quay improved on the things he was doing badly, or are they utilizing him differently? I'm glad you asked this, Joe. I talked about this a little bit with Andy during Let's Talk Football, which will be up later this evening. I think you still see a guy making some mistakes. He's not playing completely clean ball. Few people are. But you're seeing a guy who has stopped overthinking. You're seeing a guy who has finally kind of hit the point where he is not thinking. He's not worried about assignments, but he's just going. He's reacting. He's going a million miles an hour. You heard Matt LaFleur talk about this summer. And Hafley kind of reiterated it later on in training camp. The idea on defense, this scheme in particular, is we want you playing fast. We don't want you thinking. We want you reacting and going. And that's finally happened these last two games. And it's funny because I would have hoped that would have happened coming out of the bye week, right? But certainly he struggled against Chicago in that first game post bye week. But man, this 49ers game and the Miami game, he's just been going. He's been triggering. He's been trusting what he sees and just going. And now, again, it's not like he's been perfect. He's still making some mistakes. But LaFleur talks about it all the time. If you're going to make mistakes, make them a million miles an hour. We want you flowing to the ball. We want you sideline to sideline. We want you making tackles. We want you behind the line of scrimmage, blowing things up. And he's done that repeatedly, consistently these last two games. I'm hoping that's the start of his ascension in this defense. And that's the other thing. We heard McKinney talk about it earlier this season. McKinney wore the green dot in New York. Quay's been wearing the green dot here in Green Bay this season during the installation of a new defense. Seems to have been swimming a little bit, certainly seems to have been kind of second-guessing himself at times. But now it seems to finally be settling in a new defense, new scheme, being asked to do different things than he had been previously. Doesn't seem to be thinking about it. Seems to be reacting, seems to be just ripping it. And that's what I hope continues on Thursday night. I see 6071. What's up? What are your thoughts on the Lawrence hit? Football is a very fast game, but it still looked pretty egregious to me. Love you, Nags. Well, the love is reciprocated. No question about it. I'm glad you asked about this because I don't really opine too much on NFL stuff too often unless I am asked, and I'm glad you asked. 100% should have been thrown out of that game and was. Definitely should be suspended. I understand his apology that he wrote today. I get where he's coming from, and that's it. That's it. Why do we need to turn everything into a controversy? And I'm not saying you are. You've asked a question, and I'm hopefully answering it. No question about it. In today's modern NFL, you knew that was a flag. He knew that was a flag. He knew the moment he started after it. But he does play a certain way, and that's how he wants to go about playing his brand of football. Right now, he's going to have to pay the price, and we move on. That the pearl clutching, the oh my god, this is unbelievable. Well, it's totally believable. It's a guy playing a violent sport who triggered real quickly when he saw the quarterback, and yeah, he started to slide and he said, "Well, I'm going to make this motherfucker pay." Well, now he's got to pay because of that decision, and on we go. I just don't think it's this world-altering event. And again, I'm not saying you are saying that. It's just the oversaturation of coverage of the sport leads to this need to have a take about everything. It's like, no, it's a pretty egregious play. He'll be fined, hopefully suspended, and on we go. Does it have a place in the game? Not in the modern game, but I would never sit here and say, oh, he's definitely trying to put him on in the hospital or whatever ridiculous stuff I've seen online over the course of the last 24 hours. When I ain't never played in the NFL, I have no idea how quickly things happen on the field. You talk to anybody who's played in the NFL, the speed of the game is absolutely insane. So to adjudicate something like that while we sit at home on our sofa, clicking it in the slow-mo, like, well, you see here, this is where the slide begins. Shut the fuck up. It's all going a million miles an hour. And you sitting at home with your high-def television and slow-mo breakdowns has very little when it comes to a say in the matter, A, but B, like any knowledge of what's happening on a football field. So that's my piece. It doesn't much like it doesn't matter what anyone else says. Certainly doesn't matter what I say. But that's where it's just the over coverage of it that I find maybe not hilarious, but I find unfortunate. Guy made a play that in 2024 is going to get you flagged. He got flagged. He's going to get suspended unless that's already been announced. Maybe it has. I haven't seen it. I've been busy all afternoon, but that's the price of doing business in his world, and he's going to pay it. Thomas, what's going on, man? As a guy who rarely watches the coordinator availability, I can't stop watching whenever Halfley is on. He's so intense when he speaks. I'm thankful for him the most this season. Thomas, I really love his approach. I love how, he's kind of collected this defense and kind of put it in positions dependent on the opponent. I do love his availabilities, though. I do think he gets a little coach speaky at times, which is fine. But I do love it when he gets asked specific questions. Like when guys ask about, or women ask about a certain situation or a certain play or a coverage on a certain pass, things where he can kind of, if he wants to, obviously he's not going to give away any trade secrets, but if he can or wants to, he can kind of drill down on it. I love that. Anytime you can hear him talking ball, it's awesome, right? I'm right there with you on that one. Ed, what's going on, man? Original chat was no sound, and we're still here. Either we appreciate what you do or we like your hat collection. I mean, it's a pretty sweet hat collection, right? I mean, those are pretty sweet, I will say. And I appreciate you, Ed. Hope you're doing well. LaFonso Washington, what's going on, man? Go Pack Go from Milwaukee. Go Pack Go from New York City. Hope you're doing well, man. Great to see you. Nathan, what's going on, man? I'm happy the Packers will be handing the Lions their wake-up call this week instead of last week. I mean, I am way, way happier that we are facing the Lions after that, quote, scare from the Bears. Because now they're like, oh, now we're going to play for real. And then Packers are going to come in and beat them. That's just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. What else we got here, folks? Nags and all, happy holidays. Thanks, Kava. Happy holidays. Hope you're doing well. Bill, hi, Nags. Just getting in here. Jair, full participant? Not a full participant, still limited, but participating. So we'll see. I think the telltale sign would be, Tuesday we get to tomorrow's practice. If he's a full participant, then there's a chance. If he's still limited tomorrow, probably I'm going to be very surprised if he goes Thursday night. John, browser just crashed. Thought we were losing nags again for a sec. I'm all right. I'm here. And the audio is on this time. All right, everybody. I have to get going. I cannot thank you enough for hanging out, talking Packers each and every day. Even when you can't hear me, you guys still hang out. I appreciate you. Please do me a monster favor. Hit like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then tell your friends and tell your family. Cheesehead TV, we are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night. Go Pack Go.